Welcome back, everybody, to another video. Today we're going to be talking about Skull and Bones. Skull and Bones is a pirate MMO where you get to build up your pirate ship, you get to sail around, fight other pirates, do a little bit of PvP, and so on and so forth. And we're going to kind of dive in today whether or not this is something that should be bought or something that maybe you should wait for a little while down the road, like a No Man's Sky, when it's a really good game, and so on and so forth. So we're going to kind of break down a little bit as to what I would like to see in the game, what I do like in the game, and go from there. Now, before we start going into the review, this game has obviously been compared to Assassin's Creed Black Flag 500,000 times. I mean, since the game was announced in development, people have started already doing that. You can see things of the graphics from Black Flag to the graphics now, or the animations from Black Flag to the animations now. And that is not what I'm going to talk about today. And while, yes, I do agree with those criticisms that Black Flag is basically a better game, there are still some benefits to this game, some things that are good, some things that are done well. That being said, there's also a lot that I would like to see improved or added into the game. And so we will talk about that through the remainder of this video. But to start, I do want to talk about the main meat of this game, which is your ship, fighting in your ship, and sailing around. And overall, it feels pretty good. I actually really enjoy the combat of the game. I know it's been dumbed down since Black Flag. It doesn't matter. As far as this MMO is concerned, the combat does feel pretty good and seamless. You can go around in circles, you can shoot things, you can stop and start pretty abruptly. There's furniture you can add onto your ship that can increase your acceleration or increase your damage radiuses or overall damage output, and so on and so forth. That being said, I do want to talk about some of the things that I would like to see improved in the weaponry specifically, or in the furniture specifically, and the ship itself as well. Now let's talk about how strong or how weak the game makes you feel. Levels 1 through 8, you could totally see the power scaling. You could totally see as you're increasing your damage, you're increasing your defense, you feel stronger as you're going. But level 8, to me, then opens up a new area of the game. So it's like 1 to 7 are your tutorial levels, essentially, where you're not having really a rough time getting through it. You're scaling pretty good. And then once you get to 8, the ships get harder, and the game gets a little harder. And the level 8 ships, I don't know why, are worse than the 9 and 10s, but they hit harder, and I don't know why. At least that's what it feels like to me. But you get to 8, and you can start doing more of the harder stuff that are at that level, but the ships that you start facing have way more defense. They have way more attack power, and they continue to have that way more attack power and defense even when you hit the cap at level 11. At level 11, I just don't feel like I should be fighting a regular level 10 ship or a regular level 8 or 9 ship and taking nearly as much damage as I'm taking. Especially considering the amount of damage that I'm dishing out to them, it doesn't equal, especially for the higher level. I'm just doing less than they're doing to me, and I don't like that. Now, when it's a single ship, a level 10 ship, and it's just me, I can sit there, mortar it from afar, come up and ram it, turn to the side, use either my demi cannons or my bombards, and just annihilate the ship, and it'll take me 10 seconds or something like that to really finish it off. It's not a big deal. But when there's multiple 10s, let's say you're doing a plunder, or you're doing a not a helm wager, a foundry where you're taking it over, and you get all these different ships on there, sometimes it takes forever just to kill a couple of them, and then you end up having 20 or something. Now, luckily, a lot of those areas, you can just kind of kite around, and the ships just follow you like dumb NPCs, and that's another thing I want to talk about is the AI behind, the intelligence behind the NPCs. I think it kind of sucks, but so you can do that, but I don't want to just be kind of cheesing the game, kiting around in circles. I want the combat. I want to get in there and I want to kill stuff, but I want to feel like I'm actually damaging something when I do that, not sacrificing and then dying because I wanted to just get one of those 13s out of the way. And so the power scaling, I don't think makes any sense. It feels like they made the 8+ ships harder because people were getting to that end game too fast, and there wasn't enough of a challenge, and so they dumbed it down and made everything harder, and now it just takes longer to do. And making it take longer is not the answer for a game like this. You don't want it to take longer. It needs to be fair, and you definitely want, as a player, to see your power increasing and see your damage increasing, and also see the hits that you're able to take increasing. So less damage, right? That's what you want to see, and it doesn't feel like there's anything to do. I've got the best armor, I've got all the best weapons. There's nothing else I can do, and yet I still have to be careful when there's a couple level 9 ships. And that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. In any other MMO, you go to a lower area that's towards the beginning of the game, you go to a lower area and you're just like 2 levels higher and you kind of decimate that area. In this game, it's not necessarily that way. It still takes a long time to kill a level 10 ship. Now, again, if it's a solo ship, you can take it out pretty quick because you don't have to worry about being broadsided by another ship or ganked from the back or having a bunch of the, I forget what those pirate ships, the black sails pop up on you because you're in the middle of a quest. You're like, oh crap, now there's 15 things. You don't have to worry about that stuff when it's just the one ship. But when it's more than that, it takes a little longer than it should, and I think the power scaling does need to be adjusted and accounted for. Now with the weapons, I like that you have the diversity of fire bombard or repair bombard, and that's all fine and cool, but I would like to see more, or at least see that actually has a bigger benefit than it does. Now, I will say with regard to fire damage, I could see more of that than I do with the tearing of sails and flooding and whatnot. I still see the benefit, but I would like to see it, I would like it to weigh more. I would like it to have a heavier feel to it. With the fire, occasionally I'll light something on fire, move away, and it's got like a sliver of HP, and then it sinks because it burned down to death, and that's great. I like that bonus, it's nice, but I don't see a huge overall jump for like a Fire Bombard 3 versus a regular Bombard 3. There is a difference, there is an increase, but it's not as much as I feel like it should be. And I think it should be even harder to get those items as well. Give us more of a grind to get to that. And I'm not talking even necessarily the gold. Maybe we have those things drop from special events, overworld events, huge bosses like the Upwelling, and that's where you get those, not necessarily from the gold or that other mark, the silver and gold one that you get for tiering with the gold collection. But maybe we have that something that you can grind in the game, that you have to really play for to go after in order to get, and then it's a significant increase. I'm not talking about 50% more damage, but something that's significant and tangible that you can see when it hits, not even, let alone the after effects of the flooding or the fire or whatever. So something that we can actually visually taste that damage. That's what I would like to see. And I would like to see better furniture, maybe scaling of rarity of furniture, because from what I can tell, it's just, hey, this is an acceleration and deceleration 8% increase. Why? And that's a common looking thing. Why don't we get a rarity one that gives us a 10% or a 12%, and then a higher rarity than that boosts it again by another 2 or 3%, all the way up into a legendary one. They give us the option to really kind of play with that furniture, because some of it feels very underwhelming and some of it feels pretty good, to be honest. And so I think having the different rarity options would be very nice to the game. Instead, it feels like they don't want you to use, because you can't use the same thing twice, right? They don't want you to really break any one area of the ship. For example, having uncommon to legendary increases for your fire bombard elemental damage or whatever. They don't want you to break that fire bombard, but that would allow the players to customize their ships, and I think it would actually even out a lot of the builds too, versus having demi cannons and fire bombards kind of generally, at least from what I can tell, overtaking long guns and culverins. I would like to see us be able to customize the ships and the weapons in a way that fits our playstyles, so we can have fun with that playstyle. It would kind of even things out a little bit, in my opinion, and I would like to see that. Next, I'd like to talk about ships, and I think a lot of the ships are kind of useless, to be perfectly honest. I mean, you get a few ships in the beginning to pick from, you get a few ships later on in the beginning to pick from, and then a few ships at the last part of the later on in the beginning. The whole game feels like a beginning, for the record. But there's really only a couple types of ships that you really want to use. The final two are probably the most used ones, the Snow and the Sambuc, or I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head, but those two ships are probably the most used. The one is a DPS ship and the other one's a tank ship. And the tank ship is definitely a tank ship, and I see the benefit for it, although I do disagree with the brace strength of it. I think the brace strength should be higher. I think the stamina should be higher for that ship. And on the same token, I think the DPS ship, which has a high trimming speed of 18, I feel like I very rarely get to use 18. I feel like my markers are always in the wind. I change course, I turn around, and I'm in the wind. And oh wait, I forgot to pick something up at the base, so I turn around again, and I'm in the wind still. I don't like it. I am always in the wind, and I'm always going somewhere between 10 and 12 knots. And yes, I know you can turn the ship to try to even out the wind a little bit, but then it takes you off course. And if I'm turning just to try to get a little bit out of the red, and I get to that 12 again, or whatever, that speed is not enough to go all the way out and then have to turn in. Fastest distance between a point and a straight, or a point and a place, is a straight line. And if you go out to the right at like one more knot and then go in, you're actually taking even more time. So it has to be, you know, more than that. It's got to be really about 16 knots to make it even equal or a little better. And I barely ever get that. The only time I ever hit 18 knots is when I'm out in the middle of the ocean and I'm just goofing off and killing a bunch of ships. And that's the only time. That's the only time. And I'm probably not the only person that has this issue, but there's probably people that don't think this is an issue either. But I feel incredibly slow in the fastest ship all the time. I got in my snow. I was sailing around in my snow, and not only did my 12 or 13 knots feel faster, but it was more consistent. When I was hitting the wind, it felt like the resistance was less. It felt like I could just kind of push through and power my way through it, and it wasn't as big of an issue. So the speed, I don't feel works right or well on the fastest DPS ship, but I do feel like the snow works well. I just think it should be set apart a little better with the bracing and the stamina. That's it. Otherwise, the snow, I think, is a great ship. It's not the ship I use, but I think it is a great ship. In fact, I overall think it is better than the one that I'm using. I just am stubborn and don't want to give it up. That being said, when it does trim right and we're hitting 18, it feels good. I mean, 18 plus feels great. It really does. But most of the time, I'm just not hitting that. And when I'm collecting gold and I'm going through the narrow straits in between the actual islands and whatnot, I am always in the wind. Always. And it's so frustrating to try to be getting all these gold from all these places to turn it in. And I'm always going 8 knots because I'm in the wind every single time. And it does not make me want to play the game. I feel so slow, and that it's taking so much longer for no reason to collect gold, which I'm collecting for no reason at this point. It does not inspire me to play the game. And so I think they need to maybe look at the wind and how it affects the ships. I don't know if it's just me or what, but I hate sailing around in that DPS ship. I really do. Now, to touch on the ship's customization, I am fine with the customization. I think that there's a decent color palette now, and we're probably going to get more color palettes in the future for your sails, for your boat itself, and that's great. I have no issues with that, whether things come in like seasonal passes, or you can buy them in the store, or more content is just put into the game for you to get at vendors. I think it's fine. I mean, I would like to see some more mastheads and things of that, just ship-based items, but overall, there's a decent amount of customization to start at this game. The problem is that that's all that this game feels like, is the beginning of an unfinished game. The end game does not feel like an end game, and that's what we're going to talk about right now, because this is my biggest grievance of the game. All the other stuff I could actually live with. It's that I don't feel that there's an end game. So the end game essentially is, once you unlock it, you can go and you can start collecting gold at these foundries that you consistently fund with silver. And these foundries you can then level up. You can, there's other places to upgrade everything inside of your Helm Black Market area there, where you can increase a bunch of different things, including your profit generation. But the actual end game to me is for what? By the end of the weekend, I had everything that I needed to buy with gold. I'm not talking about cosmetics that you could buy with gold. I'm talking about the weapons, the schematics, the blueprints that you need to craft those penultimate weapons, and I have all of them. And I had them by the end of the weekend. So what's the purpose for me collecting now, where I'm at now, thousands of gold per run, almost 10,000 gold per run? What's the purpose of me collecting that when I've already bought literally everything? The game just came out and I've done everything. The only reason for me to do it now is to continue to grind the leaderboard. I'm rank 100. I don't need to prove that I can do better than that, especially because only the top 8 people get a cosmetic reward at the end of this, which I believe is far too low, by the way, for an MMO. But I just feel like there's nothing for me to do other than this leaderboard thing, and that's it. And to do that, not only do I have to sail around and take forever to collect the gold from these different areas, but if I want to fund all the different foundries that I have on all 3 maps, all 3 sections of the map, I then have to put an inordinate amount of silver just to keep them going. And that means I have to then go and grind for silver consistently. And it's not even a going out and killing ships kind of thing. Most people are using the exploit where you go to the Dutchman's Island, you buy something, you log out, you log in, you buy something, you log out, you log in, you continue to do that, and then when you feel like you've got, you know, enough hundreds of however many item it is, ale or brandy or gin, paintings, whatever, you then go and find the corresponding merchant to sell it to that gives you an increase on the price, and you make a profit. Not only is that not playing the game, not only is that a legit just exploit, it's not fun on any level, it's boring, it's tedious, and no one should have to make silver that way. There is the other way that you can make silver, which is, I guess, the other best way, where you can get poppy or sugarcane, turn them into the rum or the opium, and then sell those to Skorlock, or Rama, I think her name is, and you make an okay amount of silver from doing that. But in order to make enough to fund your foundries, you have to go and do them every hour. First of all, these quests, the liaisons that give you the poppy seeds and whatnot, and then you have to go and refine them, and then you might have enough to fund all your foundries. The problem is, at level 7, I don't see that being enough. I don't. I have to use the exploit if I want to keep all my foundries funded. And that sucks. That really sucks that there's no way to make enough silver in the game to keep going without using an exploit or without having to ever get sleep. I literally have to grind for 9 hours to fund things. And then if I step away to sleep for 4 hours, I'm missing some of my foundry time. It's going to happen. I'm going to miss some of the funding. I'm not going to have enough to fund all of them. So I have to use the exploit. And I don't want to be pigeonholed into something, especially when it's not even playing the game. Because you're not playing anything. You're not doing anything. You're not doing the one thing that's fun, which is fighting in the game. And I don't want to feel like if I step away for just a minute to sleep, that there's just no way I can keep up what I'm doing in the game. But then I look at it and I go, well, why am I even doing this? I'm doing it so I can keep a leaderboard ranking? There's no benefit. There's nothing for me to grind to. I'm not funneling money or gold into a guild or a clan to build up a base that we have, because those don't exist. So what's the point? And I just don't see there being one. And that's a huge problem for an MMO, especially after the first weekend. This isn't even like I've been playing the game for 2 months or 6 months or a year. I didn't play the alpha or the beta. I just started the game when it came out. And I'm done. And that's a big problem. And I know we've got the season 1 actually coming out, or maybe it is out today, but I'm done. I'm done the game. I'm gonna wait for like 6 months to see what they've added, and then maybe I'll play again. But as it currently is, I'm done. I've done about as much PvP as you can do. I mean, I've done everything there is to do in the game. I've got every area unlocked, everything up to 7. There's nothing for me to do. I have nothing to grind for. And that just makes it depressing and not enjoyable at all. And that's sad, because I was really hoping this game would be fun. Like I said, the pirate shipping is fun. I don't believe the power scaling is where it should be, but it's still fun. But you can't sail around for normal MMO time frames of gameplay and just kind of goof off every day getting nothing accomplished. You want to be progressing, and there's no progression. And to go back to the silver thing real quick, and also Kingpin, because I think Kingpin is deeply flawed. I don't mind that Kingpin is the last rank, and that you are constantly leveling up your Kingpin, but I have nothing to show for it. It gives me nothing. I get a chest every time I level up, and the chest always gives me like a Culverin 2, or a Long Cannon 1, or a Repair Bombard. And it's nothing that I need. I've got everything that's better. I think maybe once I got gold, I might have gotten that from a mystery chest though, so I'm not even sure. But I don't get anything. Give me something tangible, or give me a certain level of Kingpin, like every 10 levels of Kingpin, 20, 30, 40, whatever, you get a chest that has a ton of silver in it, maybe a little bit of gold, you know, or an item that you can only get from reaching that rank. A special item maybe is weaker than, like a Culverin that's weaker than the regular max Culverin, but does a crazy amount of fire damage or something, right? Just something that's different and unique, because right now when I hit Kingpin, I'm like, oh yay, great. I'll get that whenever I decide to go back to St. Anne, I guess. Like, it doesn't matter. You're in no rush. You don't care. And then Infamy is a whole nother thing. I mean, you look at quests. Well, you know what? We'll talk about quests instead of just Infamy, because we're going to include silver in this as well. So the quest, you look at the quest, and I'm not talking about the ones for like fighting Mangoden where you get 3,000 silver. That's fine. I'm fine with that. That's cool. But most of the quests give you a really shoddy amount of silver, like 400, 500. That's not enough silver to pay for a one-way trip anywhere for a fast travel. Like, that's just nothing. That's not a reward. That's kind of funding the quest, and that's it. There's no real reward. You look at games with MMOs, you look at animes of MMOs. They don't pay nothing. They give you a reward at the end. And my reward for these quests are 50 Infamy and 300 silver. Oh, 400 Infamy and 400 silver. Well, what do I need the Infamy for exactly? Who cares when I'm Kingpin? It literally, like I just talked about, who cares? And the 400 silver is nothing. That doesn't help me in the end game at all. It does nothing for me. Give me some silver, please. Give me a way that I can make silver in the game. Let me farm something. Let me go out and kill 100 ships to make a real amount of silver. There were times where I got bugged out and I had instant spawns after I killed things, and I was literally fighting 30 ships at a time and getting my butt kicked, but kiting around and really working in and out and zigzagging and getting lots of drops from all the ships I was killing. And let me tell you, it was the most fun I had in the game when the game was bugging and making me fight for my life. That was the most fun in the game I had, when it was a bug. Give me that. Let me fight a bunch of stuff out in the open seas with real drops. With mass accumulation, even if it's small drops, 129 silver per ship. At least I had fun doing it. At least I got to go out there and use my weapons. At least I felt like I was actually in a fight. I actually had to work for it instead of logging in and logging out and logging in and logging out. Let me play the game. Please, give me a way that I can just go grind some silver, please. And if you could increase the quest with it, that would be great. Because I still have quests I haven't done, and I refuse to do them because there's no reason to. And I'm not talking about the ones that give you a little bit of cosmetic things, even as crappy as they are. Give me a reward that's worth doing the quest, please. So to sum up the game, there are parts of the game that are a lot of fun. The combat, I do enjoy just sailing around and fighting stuff. In fact, it's the only time where I do enjoy the game. I don't enjoy being on land because there's not a whole lot I can do and the NPCs are super annoying half the time. I don't enjoy my crew because I hear them say the same inane dribble over and over. Let me customize my crew, maybe. Just a thought, throwing it out there. Let me recruit crew members on different islands. Just a thought. Let me have the ability to pick which freaking shanties they sing so I don't have to hear them talking about a donkey over and over and over again. Let me unlock new shanties through battle passes or whatever. Give me more customization in that. That would be great. But that's not game breaking. That would just make it better. More immersive, more customizable, more personal, right? It's my ship. These are my guys. These are my shanties. That would be cool. But overall, there are things in the game that are fun. Sailing around is fun. Co-oping with your teammates can be a lot of fun. Sometimes being in a party puts you at a disadvantage because of the difficulty increase. But it can be a lot of fun, though. Being on ground, not so much. Boarding ships sucks, FYI. For anybody listening, when you go to crew board on another ship, half the time your stupid things miss when you're right next to it. And then you end up not getting on it because you passed by just a touch. Or you end up getting lit up by the same ship because you're broadsided next to it. Or because you're going after boarding the ship over and over again, the other ships that are with it are just absolutely annihilating you because you can't seem to get the stupid thing attached. Optimize the boarding, please, because my word, I just want to put my head in a wall. But firing muskets and all, that feels fine, except you should have the ability to heal or use stamina items while you're in that screen. Because sometimes you're firing muskets and something else is nuking the crap out of you. And it would be nice to not sink sometimes when that's happening. There's benefit for the game, and I think in a year to 2 years, this will be a really fun game to play. I think it'll be more optimized than it is. I think there will be more things to do than it is. But right now, I'm done the game. Right now, I can't convince myself to log into it. The whole crew that I have, the whole guild that go from game to game together, all of us have stopped playing this game. I was the last one. Rank 100 and I'm done. And frankly, Ubisoft, your team at Skull and Bones that never replies to anything anyone says, including the top like 10 people, the rank 10 people that have said stuff to you guys, your PR person needs to get back to some people about some things. Because you guys suck at your job. Alright guys, that's kind of my little bit of good and lots of ranting. I hope this helped you out at all. I would not spend $100 on the game like I did. I'm a sucker for deluxe editions, and I sucked myself in once again. I do regret it. But I do think this game will be a good game to play down the road. But I also see this game being a free-to-play game very soon. I think this will be a free-to-play game in 2 months. I could be wrong. I hope I am. I hope they fix stuff right away. I hope Season 1 helps, and so on. But I think this will be a free-to-play game. This is in no way a No Man's Sky or a Fallout 76. It is nowhere near as bad as Fallout 76. Fallout 76 was a buggy, incomplete, terrible mess when it came out, and I played the crap out of it. But it was a terrible mess, and this game is not in that kind of shape. This game actually still has things that are fun. This game still has options that you can do, things that feel right. But it does need to be polished up more. It does need to be fixed. And it is a disgrace that this has been a game that was in development for 10 plus years. And this is what it is. Because it feels like Act 1 of the main story of an MMO. It's like going into Gridania in Final Fantasy XIV, but never getting into Leminska or any of the other cities. Never getting to the DLCs. That's what this feels like. It's very limited. Very early, very quick to beat. Like I said, I was done after the first weekend. I just kept playing it to grind the leaderboard. And that's it. And that's my rant, that's my kind of review. That's where the state of the game is for me. If you guys have any questions, please put them down in the comments. I will get back to you. I will answer. I will talk about it. If you think I'm wrong about something, put it down. Let's discuss. Maybe I am. Maybe there's some feature in the game that I am missing that I can't find any content on. Maybe I'm missing it because, let's be honest, they don't tell you crap in the game. They just kind of throw you in. You got to figure it out. So maybe I'm missing something. Put it down and let me know. Otherwise, guys, thanks for hanging out. I do appreciate you guys watching the video. I hope it helped you out. And sorry to be a little on the negative side for this one. I hope that the next time I talk about this game, it'll be much more positive. But I do look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. And until then, take care.